Hi everybody, it's me, Gregory Mannarino. How are you today? It is Wednesday, June 15th, 2016. And yes, this is the second video blog that I am doing today. There is a reason for that, people. Let's get right to it. We are now, beyond any doubt, existing in a state of emergency with regard to debt. Global debt has hit a critical mass, and we are now seeing a phenomenon which I've been talking about on my regular video blogs on YouTube and on my website, traderschoice.net, unprecedented in history. That is simply this. Trillions of dollars are now moving into the debt market in a fashion that we have never seen before. To me, that sends, again, red flags across the sky. I want you to consider what I just said. Trillions of dollars. Keep that in mind as we move forward here. It's very important. World central banks have gotten so desperate over the past several years that they have literally turned the entire financial system upside down. Negative interest rates are now the norm. Here in the United States, the Federal Reserve still unable to raise interest rates and will not do it. They cannot normalize. It is the environment that we are existing now. This has created distortions across the spectrum of asset classes, again, unprecedented in history, something we have never seen before. Now, something else is occurring underneath all this that is so dark, and I want to shed a little light onto that right now. That's what this video is all about. So, what do we understand is occurring right now? We are seeing trillions of dollars move into the debt market. There's a reason for that, people. Again, it's unprecedented on a global scale. We also understand that world central banks have inflated their balance sheets larger than the GDP of most countries. Trillions upon trillions upon trillions of dollars. Keep those numbers in mind as well. Before I move forward, open up another window and go to the Federal Reserve's own website, federalreserve.gov. federalreserve.gov. When you get to the Federal Reserve's own website, you're going to see a little tab there for search. I want you to search this: total U.S. currency in circulation. The amount of currency, real cash bills that are in circulation. If you don't feel like doing that, well, that's okay, because I'll tell you what that number is. As of June 1st of this year, just a couple of weeks ago, the number of currency, the actual amount of bills in dollar terms that are in circulation, are you ready? Is only $1.46 trillion. Of that, $1.4 trillion are Federal Reserve notes. Let that sink in for just 2 minutes. The total amount, according to the Federal Reserve's own website, of currency in circulation is only $1.4 trillion. Now, after you let that sink in for a moment here, you've heard me say, and many people say, that this debt can never be paid back. The debt is no good. The debt is a liability. It's not an asset. What I'm trying to get to is, for example, here in the United States, we are now at $20 trillion, near $20 trillion in debt. If you add unfunded liabilities and all of the cash together, it's over $100 trillion. Meanwhile, according to the Federal Reserve's own website, right now, today, there is only $1.4 trillion in actual currency. Let me put another perspective on that for you. The total amount of cash deposited by people like you and me in U.S. commercial banks is $11 trillion. Let that sink in too. How many times have you heard me say the money that you think is in your bank account doesn't even exist? It's not there. People, I'm not making these numbers up here. These are real. Okay, so what does this mean in the grand scheme of things? First of all, they don't want you to know this. They do not want you to know it. I'd be willing to bet that you had no idea about what I just said, that worldwide there only exists $1.4 trillion of real printed cash. The rest of it is credit. The rest of it is just debt. It's just digital. It doesn't even exist. It's fantasy land. The entire system is a fantasy. It's a farce. It is fake. So, again, I've taken a lot of criticism from people. Oh, Greg, you don't know what you're talking about. The debt can be paid back. And there's a lot of people out there, probably paid trolls, who are going to comment here, who believe everything can just function the way that it is. How can that even be possible if, according to the Federal Reserve's own website, their own information publicly available to you right now, there is only $1.4 trillion of actual printed cash that exists on the earth today? I want you to think about that. How can $1.4 trillion be backing, if you want to say, $100+ trillion in unfunded liabilities and debt here in the United States, plus another $11 trillion in deposits from you and me? How could trillions of dollars be flying into the debt market right now? It's all fake. It doesn't exist. What does this mean in the grand scheme of things? People, this is the crisis that we are going to face. At one particular time, when, again, this debt bubble bursts, whatever cash that you think is in your bank account, because it's not there, I just proved it to you. It is not there. You won't have access to it. The ATMs won't work. You will not be able to get anything. You won't be able to buy food. You won't be able to pay bills. Utility companies will shut down. Grocery stores will be barren. There'll be nothing in them. You understand? This is going to happen. We are now facing a crisis of debt that is truly epic. And I really believe that we are at a critical juncture right now, people. We are at a critical juncture. The premise of this entire video was to try to put a little light onto the fact that the system itself is not sustainable. The system itself is toxic. The system itself is so twisted and so distorted that they want you to believe that the actual amount of bills, again, this is the Federal Reserve's own website. Go to it right now. Don't believe me. There's only $1.4 trillion in existence. That's all that really exists. 1.4 trillion. Meanwhile, supposedly, there are $11 trillion in U.S. bank deposits. Does that make any sense to you? Does that make any sense to you? Your cash is not there. You're working for nothing. You understand? At one particular point, there was going to be a run on U.S. banks. And unless you're one of the first people, and I mean maybe the first to get through the door, you're going to get nothing. You're going to get nothing. My suggestion is this. Keep only what you need in your bank account. Take the rest out. Put it somewhere. Find a place to stash it. Again, and you shouldn't even be in the system. Their system has failed. Their system is toxic. Their system is so twisted and so distorted that they want you to believe that that 1.4 trillion in actual cash, that's the only cash that exists, is paying for everything else. And the debt can actually be paid back. How can the debt, let's just talk about the U.S. national debt at 19+ trillion, almost 20 trillion. How can it ever be paid back if the total amount of cash that exists is only 1.4 trillion? Do you understand this? Do you see how desperate this is? This whole thing that has been occurring since the 2008 event to prop all of this back up, they're trying to make you believe in some type of recovery. What they're really doing, people, is going through desperate measures, desperate to try to keep this information from you and to make you believe that the system is real, that it can actually function like this. It's incredible, isn't it? Anyway, I hope you pay attention to this, and I really hope you share this video with as many people as you possibly can. And do your own research. Look up these numbers that I'm talking about right now. Don't take my word for it. You do a little research, you think about it, and you ponder, and I would love to hear from you. Comment here, please. How only $1.4 trillion in real money, that's all that there exists, in real cash, can be responsible for all of the debt that we have right now. It is not sustainable, people. It is not sustainable. Mark my words. And it's not too far off the absolute implosion of this system. All right, I'll see you all soon.